Hey everybody, welcome to summer semester. You guys made it to your last semester. This is awesome. I'm super excited for all of you. This is going to be the introductory video for Nuclear Medicine 4333, also known as Quality Assurance. And I'm doing this introductory video so that you can get started. Our summer semester is a shorter semester than what you're used to, and there's a lot to do. And so I wanted to give you this introductory video so you could kind of get started. We actually won't have class officially until the 14th. And so this gives you a few days in advance of that to kind of get started on a few things. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to go over syllabus and we're going to go over the assignments that are a part of this class so that you guys can get started and just kind of give you a full explanation. And then when we meet on the 14th, I'll likely review or go over some of these things again and take questions and things like that. And then we'll have a lecture that day as well. So let me get my screen sharing going on here and get you guys up and going. Okay. All right, make sure I got the screen centered here. Okay, so what I've done is I've just gone straight to the home page. When you go into Canvas, you'll see home to the left. And I've kind of located everything on here. You can still look at the syllabus and the modules as well as the assignments. But some of that same information is here. I like to put it on the home page just so you guys have easy access and you see it right away. Now, the first thing you'll notice on here is a module with the instruction video. That's the video, this video right now. So if you're watching it, then you obviously found this section and are watching, so I won't give you too much explanation there. But I'd like to jump into the syllabus. We'll go through the syllabus. I'm going to be referencing in the syllabus a quality assurance manual. This is going to be the assignment that we do for this course, and it's a kind of a big project assignment. You'll be making a quality assurance manual, and I'll explain that more further, but when I go and talk about it in the syllabus, I'll kind of reference it, and then we'll get into detail on what it is, how it works, what you do, and how you can get started on it. Okay, so let's pull up the syllabus. And you'll have to excuse me, I'm getting over a little sickness here and my throat's been a little weird. So I'm going to make this big. All right, so again, like I mentioned, this is Nuclear Medicine 4333 Quality Assurance for summer 2026. I'm going to be your instructor, obviously. I've listed my email here, of course, like I always do, but like I've said for 2 semesters now, and you guys are familiar with this, the best way to get with me is messaging me on Canvas. That's the best way to contact me quickly, and you're more likely to get a quicker response that way. There isn't an additional textbook for this course. However, there is a module that will point you to some of the textbooks that you already have, but you won't need an additional textbook for this course, rather the ones you've had for our first 2 semesters. So when we get to the module and I'm showing you that, we'll go through all of that. To give you kind of a course outline of what we have in front of us, this first week of May is when I'm obviously doing this introductory video. Again, we're going to review the syllabus today, and then we're going to discuss the quality assurance manual assignment. We will meet next on May 14th. It's an 8 o'clock Zoom class. I'm going to review some of this, and then we will do a lecture on quality assurance that goes over a lot of the information that will be in the assignment and in your manual. And so that'll be probably our big class here that we'll do, and we'll get into that a little more. You'll notice there aren't other dates on here, and that will make more sense as we get into what we're doing with the manual and how it works and how you can kind of expect class schedule. So hang tight on that. These are the first kind of syllabus dates that you need to be aware of. As far as point value and grading for this, the course requirements is that the final grade is going to be based on submission of a quality assurance manual. Again, we'll go over that here shortly. This is turned into me by the due date, and there are no exams for this course. The point evaluation is basically going to be based off that manual that you create. And so this will make a little bit more sense here. You'll reference it back. I'm still going to go over it right now, but when you reference it later after knowing what the manual is and going through the module, it'll make more sense. But there's three things I'm going to be grading your assignment on. One is that you answer the objectives outlined in the module. Another one is that it's organized and it's usable as a QA manual in an actual imaging department. In other words, if I went to your imaging department and I didn't know what was going on and I needed to know how the department runs, I can grab your manual and have it work. And then, of course, a huge important part of this as well is a reference for your registry review, for your study guide, a study that can be used to help you prepare for the boards, which is what this is all about, right? And then I have a due date of June 26th. I try to push that out as far as I can because, again, summer semester is shortened. As those things get closer, if I end up getting any leeway, I try to give you as much as possible to get these things done because it's a busy short semester. So that is the syllabus. If you have any questions, let me know and have those for the 14th, and we can go over that. Let me get into the module now, and I think the syllabus will even make more sense as we get into that. So I'm going to go back to the home page. You could also get the quality assurance modules are down here. So you're going to have a module, and then I also have an example of a manual, a shortened version. But you could access that up here as well by hitting this module button, and it will also take you into this same page. The home and module look very similar. So let's go into the module and let's take a look at it. And I'm going to walk you guys through pretty much this whole thing. So you kind of have an idea how the module functions to help you learn the information and create a manual. I'm going to go ahead and read this first part so that it's more clear than me trying to explain, and then I'll get into some more explanations. But you'll notice on here this says independent study course. This is not an independent study course. I will be giving a lecture on it, and I will be here supporting you as well. However, you're going to see that part of this manual is going to be based on the current department you're doing clinicals in and what equipment and things you have in that department. And so because of that, a big portion of this is done on an individual basis because it's going to be done in the department that you're working on. So let me read this through. Again, this will make more sense as we go along. But the educational objectives and learning experiences outlined in this course of study are intended to introduce the student to quality assurance concepts and procedures utilized in a typical nuclear medicine imaging department. A primary focus of the course will be the student development of a quality assurance manual containing information and procedures that will meet federal and accreditation requirements. The course grade will be based on the creation of your quality assurance manual to be submitted to me at the end of the semester for review and for grading. Materials. This is where I said you're going to use some of your old, or you're not old, but your current textbooks that you're using for other classes, and I've mentioned those here. So we have our Waterstrom book, which is our main one that we've been going out of. We also have the Mettler book, which is the Essentials of Nuclear Medicine. So you have both of those. I've also referenced our Review of Nuclear Medicine Technology book. That is the green bolus book that you're going to be your main book that we'll have for our boards review class. And I don't know if this screen is showing right now, but it's this green book. If you look at I'll reference this in our other class as well, but it's the Review of Nuclear Medicine, and it's by Norman E. Bolus. So that's the review book. So I've referenced that one here as well because it's a great resource as you're getting ready for boards, but also has a lot of good simplified information in it. And then I mentioned this one on here. This was one I mentioned early on in our when we did physics and instrumentation our first semester, that it's just a supplemental. So I listed it here. If you don't have the book, don't stress about it, no big deal. But if you were one of those that picked it up, it's another good book that's a good resource for information about quality assurance and getting ready for your boards. If you don't have it, again, you've got plenty of information even just from the first two books, and that's where we'll point you. All right, so educational objectives. The educational objectives in this packet are intended to assist you in learning, organizing, and creating a document which could be used as a guide, again, number one, in exam certification study, as well as a tool in your nuclear medicine department. You are responsible for organizing and producing a quality assurance manual for yourself. This quality assurance manual is your grade for the course. Now, here's how this is going to work. This module is set up with educational objectives, as you can see here. Okay. And You can see all the sections. We've got 7 sections of objectives, okay, of all the things that you're educationally trying to learn here, the things you're going to be responsible for answering. And then the second section of this is learning activities. So this is when you go to, you're going to answer the objectives on the first section, but I've pointed you where to go to get that information and learn it in the second section, okay? So when you're doing this, you're going to first go to this learning activity section, and you're going to go through where this points you. For example, in learning activity 1, you'll notice question number 2, I've pointed you to Waterstrom, I've pointed you to Mettler, and I've pointed you to a Mettler appendix, because that's where the information is contained to be able to go and answer question number 2 in section 1, which if you come up here, let's go right here. So number 2, whoops, that's not it, sorry. Let's go to 1, here we go. Who should be involved in a QA program? What are the responsibilities and daily tasks? So where do you answer that? Well, if you go down again to the learning activities section, section 1 and 2, number 2, here's the reference for where you get that information. And I've even put page numbers. Some of these will have study pages, 513 through 515 in the Mettler, things like that. So that's how this is designed. This isn't just you pointed on your own. Now, I will tell you that as we go over these different sections, you'll notice the first section is going to be establishment and administration. Second section is patient scheduling, management, and satisfaction. Section 3 is Nuke Med staff considerations. Section 4 is radiation protection and personnel monitoring. Section 5 is radiopharmaceutical dose, transport, and hot lab. Section 6 is instrumentation and quality control. Section 7 is new equipment purchase processes, acceptance testing, and problem solving. So what you're going to find is that a lot of this I'm going to go over in my first lecture, okay? So a big portion of these sections, at least half of this, I'm going to cover a lot of this in my lecture, and you're going to be pointed to these places to go look, okay? So don't feel too overwhelmed by this, because we're going to provide you with all the answers. Now, the way I want you to approach this is that I want you to make this QA manual, because there's going to be portions of it that, for example, in section, let's go down to right here, instrumentation and quality control. So notice number 2, develop a step-by-step procedure for each of the quality control procedures listed below. So you have survey meters, well counters, dose calibrator, gamma camera, SPECT system. I believe I've got PET listed on here, PET system, right? PET is down here. What I want you to do is this will apply to your department that you're currently in. So some of you may not have a PET scanner. That's okay. I want you to make it for the department you're in. If you have access to a PET scanner, go and find that information and do that as well. But I want you to treat it as though you're making a quality control manual or quality procedures manual for the current department you're in. So whatever equipment you have, that's what I want you to base this on. That's what I want you to go learn, because you're going to have to come up with all the quality procedures for that, for the different types of equipment. This will prepare you for your boards. The other thing it's going to do, and this is interesting because I have a guy that I work with right now who, when he got done with school, and this, by the way, this process is edited to some degree, and it's a little different, but we went through the same process even when I went through the program of making a quality assurance manual. And I know a guy that I work with that when he graduated, he went to a hospital system that was new and had just formed a new hospital. He got hired on as their sole nuke med tech, and so he had to run the department. And he actually was able to take his quality assurance manual, because he'd done a good job on it, and he was actually able to use it as the quality assurance manual for his department. And it had all the information to help him kind of know how to set things up and what to do. And he was able to effectively run things by using it. So again, this prepares you for the information on your boards, which is primary. But in the secondary, I want you to just approach this as though you're making a manual to help your function or help your department have a quality assurance program. That if I were a new tech in your department, I could go open that thing up and be like, okay, this is how we do this procedure. This is what we do. So, And again, as you go through these objectives, it'll make a lot more sense in the things that you're asked to learn and do. And again, I'll go over this even more on the 14th when we meet. But again, that is how you get through this manual. Just go down and answer the questions. When you hand in your manual, what I want you to do is literally just follow these exact sections. So if I open up, if I had a physical copy of your manual and I opened up the first page, it would say section 1, establishment and administration. And then it would say number 1, identify the purpose, priorities, and requirements of a nuclear med department. And then you're going to give your answer and your information. Then number 2, who should be involved in a quality assurance program? What are the responsibilities and daily tasks? You're going to list that. Number 3, what's the importance of a license to operate a radionuclide imaging department where you perform your student clinical education? What type of license does your department have? And is your department or is your state an agreement state? What does that mean? Well, we'll learn that, right? So you're going to literally just answer these and fill out this manual as you go along. Okay. Now, hopefully that can kind of get you started on thinking about this and looking through. Like I mentioned, we'll cover a lot of this in lecture, but a lot of it we can't cover in lecture. A lot of it you'll be doing in your department and going through these with hands-on experiences and creating this manual. I want to now show you an example of a quality assurance manual. And so let's go back to our homepage. I put an example in here. This is not a full quality assurance manual. I didn't want to put someone's manual on here. Too tempting to just copy it all, right? But I've put a few starts of some of the sections to give you an example of what I'm after, but also some of these are real examples from students in the past and what they've done and what's worked. So let's open this up. If it'll open, maybe it's going to open. This document is still processing, can take a few minutes. Well, if I can't get that to open, I can always pull it up. My Google Doc that I created it from and share that screen. Maybe that's what we'll do. I'm going to leave you guys on this screen and let me see if I can still Google Doc if that's not going to open. Okay. Let me must be having a slow connection today or something. Oh wait, maybe it's gonna open. Maybe it's oh, we got it. Never mind. I don't need to switch. Okay, so let me make this big and we will take a look here. Okay, so I highlighted up here again. This document is meant to be an example, not a complete document. Sections are just an idea. This is incomplete. So for example, on section 1, establishment administration, identify the purpose, priorities, requirements, and goal of a quality assurance program in a nuclear medicine department. And so it started listing bullet points. Quality assurance, what does it mean? Monitoring that follows a comprehensive plan with delineated quality of technical. Anyway, they've given an explanation, right? Who should be involved in the QA program? They start out by listing an authorized user as a physician. Again, so on, they've listed those. And again, we'll cover some of this. Here's where this is actually a student that made this chart, and I thought it was a great idea. But they took and they listed nuclear medicine technology quality control area or quality control tests. And so they've listed the test that they do and the description of that test and how often they do that test. So this is like your dose calibrators. You've got your gamma camera stuff listed here. And so they chose to do a chart to organize that and how often those things should be done and what's done. So again, if I was in a nuke med department, I'd open that up and be able to see it. So some people have used charts, some people have listed it. That's all fine. Again, this is your manual. It doesn't have to be exact format, but as long as you're going through and answering those questions, And it can be, an easily understood thing that I can look through and be able to tell everything is and grade it. Here's one of the sections that has you create a patient satisfaction questionnaire. Part of, again, quality assurance is patient quality assurance. And so this is also from a student that they made this satisfaction questionnaire that they put as part of theirs. Again, more charts of different things, nuke med staff considerations. So again, you can look over this. It just kind of gives you an idea of how it's the general structure. Again, you don't have to be super fancy. You don't have to do every chart, but again, whatever makes it work and have the information, and then again, be usable for you as something you can reference for study for boards and also actually be able to use. Okay. So that's an example. And again, when we meet, hopefully you can have some more questions and things. If you have any questions, we'll go over everything. Okay. All right. So let me go back to the home. I think that is enough to get you guys started. The only other thing I listed on here is I will get lecture slides to you before the 14th that we'll use. And then once we do the lecture, I'll post that video here as well so that you have reference as you're doing your manuals to watch the lecture anytime you want. Okay, so that should get you started. Again, this is NukeMed 4333 quality assurance. And so go ahead and look at that, get started, watch this video as much as you need to. And we will plan on seeing you on the 14th. Oh, I do want to mention though, down here, I've got your Zoom link. So if you click into Zoom, it should have the class link on here. And just like we've always done, you can go in here and click join, and it will be at 8 a.m. on May 14th. So I look forward to seeing you guys then and talking about quality assurance. Okay, I'm going to stop my share and we'll stop this video and I'll talk to you guys later.